pick up their trail at the chopper, run them down, grab those hostages, and bounce back across the border before anybody knows we were there.
Let's screw with the TV people.
The problem was the heat, man. The heat's killer.
I remember at times John just sitting on the ground with his head in his hands. Like, what the hell have I gotten myself into?
For every shot, there's 6, 8, 10 passes of things.
So this was our day. It was like 14 hours of work. It was a real boot camp.
Pure hell.
I got to go back 15 years and relive everything, except this time to enjoy it and not worry about having to die.
Shooting those many bullets coming through that gun with that power, it was an amazing experience.
They don't put this in acting class. They'd have a bigger dropout rate.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
We had an idea about doing a story about a brotherhood of hunters who came from another planet to hunt all kinds of things, but we realized very quickly that wouldn't work very well, so we picked one hunter who was going to hunt the most dangerous species, which had to be man, and the most dangerous man was a combat soldier.
It's one of those simple ideas that once someone has the idea, everyone else says, oh, why didn't we think of that?
It was a spec script. The Thomas brothers, two first-time writers at the time, basically couldn't get anybody to read the script, didn't have an agent, slipped it under a door of an executive, Michael Levy, at Fox. Michael read the script, shared it with me and the rest of us. Larry Gordon was head of the studio at the time, bought the script, okayed the script going out to Arnold Schwarzenegger. I went and got John McTiernan involved in the process. I had seen his picture. We needed a fresh voice. And Larry Gordon invited Joel Silver to come on and produce it.
Joel was the hands-on producer on set. To this day, he still maintains an almost overwhelming presence on the set. A lot of producers, they sort of sit back, they get a line producer, they serve as a sort of creative liaison between the studio and the film, but they don't get their hands dirty. Joel always has gotten his hands dirty by really getting into the muck of the film.
Let's lock off this, get a hi-hat or something on that one. I was very happy when they offered it to me. I wanted to do an old-fashioned popcorn movie. And that's what this is. It's meant to be entertainment, and it comes at it from a direction that I had some experience in, which is out of suspense.
John McTiernan is a really wonderful action director. He has an ability to take a script and infuse it with both a sense of energy but great storytelling. And so he's a really wonderful storyteller, which is really what you want in a director.
John McTiernan has a tremendous ability to visualize the film in his head and just go get that film. Not waste any time, not bullshit around.
John McTiernan is an actor's director. It's not just some, director who's just trying to make pretty pictures. He has a motivation for why this particular scene should be this way and what your character's motivation should be.
He's very sure of himself.
You guys are all around. I'm going to have to be careful the next couple days, aren't I?
I always wanted to do a film like The Wild Bunch or The Magnificent Seven or something like that, where a team of guys work together, and rather than relying just on yourself. And it's much more realistic. But each one of those guys are very powerful guys. They're not only just great actors, but they're physically very strong, they're very well experienced, and they're equals of mine.
You son of a bitch!
There are very few people who can be the counterweight to Arnold.
What's the matter? The CIA got you pushing too many pencils?
Make it easy on yourself, Dutch.
I wanted somebody very strong, who's a good actor as well as being very physical. And there are very few people around you could consider. Once we got the list out, Carl jumped right out.
I was hanging out in that jungle called Hollywood, very much like this jungle here. Went in one day into this office. It was very hot, steamy like today, a lot of bugs crawling over you and that kind of stuff. Went into this producer's office, was very air conditioned, saw this name outside, and neon light and a fan inside and all that stuff, bush kind of furniture and stuff. So I walked in, sat down, made myself comfortable, and this man kept walking back and forth, back and forth. Finally, he was introduced to me, Joel Silver, the producer, and he comes up to me and he looks at me and says, "Hey, kid, you know what? I got a place for you. I got a movie for you. I want to do a movie about boxing. But before I do that, I've got another movie, In the Jungle. You look like you belong there. How about being in this movie? I'm gonna make you famous. I discovered you." Just like every other producer I've met right over the past 15 years, they discovered. I said, sure, I'll do this movie for you, right? So that's how I'm here.
You're hit. You're bleeding, man.
I ain't got time to bleed.
In there?
I play a guy in this by the name of Sergeant Blaine, and Sergeant Blaine is a 250-pound, shall I say, killer who chews tobacco.
Bunch of slack-jawed faggots around here. This stuff will make you a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus. Just like me.
Oh, Jesse was a hoot. He came on very big, and it took us a little while to calm him down and get him closer to real.
This movie was dominated by larger-than-life personalities.
John!
Over here.
Bill is a spectacular actor. He's a ringer in the group.
I had worked for Joel previously in a film entitled Commando, and we had a good time on that. Arnold and I got along real well.
You scared, motherfucker? Well, you should be, because this Green Beret's gonna kick your big ass.
I ate Green Berets for breakfast.
He liked that, and so he hired me.
My character has a fair amount of emotionalism that I have to bring out.
Holy Mother of God.
The environment that we're in lends itself so dramatically to the actual jungle experiences that I had when I was in Vietnam. And it was just an instant deja vu. I've had a number of those.
Billy, you know something. What is it?
There's something out there waiting for us. And it ain't no man.
Sonny was a hoot. The insurance company wouldn't let us hire him unless we got a bodyguard for him. Now, the bodyguard was not to protect Sonny. The bodyguard was to protect other people from Sonny. So we had this 6'8" tall giant man who just had to follow Sonny around 24 hours a day, the entire time he worked in the movie, and make sure that Sonny never misbehaved.
Your money bags are getting in my shot there.
The old women in the village crossed themselves and whispered crazy things, strange things. El diablo cazador de hombres. The demon who makes trophies of man.
I never say a word to Elpidia because her own intuitions are so good. She knows much more about the character than I do. Elpidia is a surprise, a delightful one. And go back up, Shane. See if you can get your head square out so you can look straight down.
Predator was sort of concurrent with this other movie that I had done, Lethal Weapon, that I'd written.
So does it look like blood?
Joel had asked me, do you want to do a draft of Predator? The studio's scrambling and they'd like to kind of get a different version. I didn't want to, but he said, well, you just come down to Mexico with us anyway. We'll put you in the movie.
So the idea was hatched. We'll hire him as an actor, and when he's there, stuck in Mexico, we'll give him the script and we'll make him rewrite it.
So you cooked up a story and dropped the 6 of us in a meat grinder.
I did nothing on the script. It turns out what the studio did, as they always do, is they took the original draft and just shot that. They go all the way around the circle. They get 7 different writers to do a version, and then they'll go back to the original draft.
Well, all the way through this, I was stealing a Robert Altman technique of, if you can, get actors who can bring something to the table, and then turn them loose. I keep my mouth shut about it, but I actually came from theater. So I like actors. Studio executives think that what they want was guys who love cars and guns and stuff like that. We got to get a guy who loves cars and guns to do an, quote, action movie. So I would sort of hide the fact that I maybe ever knew anything about actors or that I liked them or anything like that. Cars and guns, love cars.
It was one thing that John McTiernan was real on target with in regards to bringing us down here a week prior, and it helped out immensely.
We brought in a military trainer with them.
Oh, we had Gary Adolph Goldman. I nicknamed him Adolf.
It was a typical training for the way that Army soldiers move in the jungle, the way they deliver hand signals to one another.
Joel said, "Hey, Bill, how'd you like to go down and spend 8 weeks in Puerto Vallarta?"
And we thought, oh, this will be cool. We'll go learn to be like soldiers, kind of move like soldiers. Actually, it was kind of miserable and awful, and I got bee stung, and I got this and that.
So their rehearsal period was, see you guys, you report to the truck in the morning, we're driving you 20 miles out, and you walk back.
Gary really, in my mind, made a lot of things work that weren't in script necessarily, but we had a real feeling and a sense of camaraderie and what we were after, and also a sense of the how to do.
You know, with a really realistic selection of guns and a really good weapons advisor and a good military advisor, you know, it lent an additional sense of realism.
We had to take in 1 week and teach these guys how to make themselves look like combat veteran special forces soldiers.
Jesse was a Navy SEAL. He didn't need the training. He cakewalked through the training because he's such a tough guy, you know.
I'll put it this way, I wouldn't want to go in real with these guys, but I'll definitely do a film with them.
I know Jesse voiced that opinion a couple of times.
I don't agree with that.
First morning I was there, Arnold says, "Hey, we're going to go to the gym and work out."
There was a subtle sort of competition, I think.
Get up at 4 in the morning because you want that pump, but you don't want the other guys to see you getting that pump, because when you walk onto the set, you know, and you look that good, it's got to be natural. You can't work out that hard, you know, nobody does. God just blessed you, you know.
And so at 5:30 in the morning, Arnold's knocking on my door going, get up, we're going down to work out.
And they would run for an hour and a half. Just run the hills of Puerto Vallarta.
So I get up, go downstairs with them to work out, and they proceed to torture me.
They work out for another 20, 30 minutes. They eat breakfast and get on the bus and go up into the interior.
Arnold's going, more reps, more. You know what I mean? He goes, what are you, a wussy? Pick up that weight.
After we finished work, they would come back, I'm not exaggerating, and run another hour and work out for another hour, eat, and then go to bed.
Every once in a while, you know, you'd walk in there, of course, and there'd be another guy or two guys over in the corner pushing some iron, and, you know, I did a couple of times. You know, I walked in there and said hi to them and looked around and said, what are you guys doing? And wow, man, you guys are really working hard. And walk out, go find a place to get some coffee, wait till they're gone, and then go in after they're gone, you know. Give nothing away.
Well, 2 hours later, I couldn't move. I was completely unable, stiff, whatever, but not been more pain in my life. Arnold was taking great pleasure from this.
The biggest thrill for me was when we hit wardrobe, and I happened to view Arnold's wardrobe tape, and when my arms taped out 1 inch bigger than Mr. Olympia's, that made Jesse Ventura feel pretty good.
Well, I'm very happy about that, because then my joke worked. Because I told the wardrobe department they should tell him that, so I can bet him a bottle of champagne afterwards when he comes to the gym. He came to the gym 2 days later and he says, you know something, Arnold? We should measure our arms. Who has bigger arms? I said, of course we should. I said, let's bet a bottle of champagne. He says, of course we should. And then we measured it and my arm was 3 inches bigger than his.
What the fuck?
And he lost a bottle of champagne. So, I mean, you know, the psycho trips, they work on everybody, on bodybuilders and also on wrestlers. It was good.